Boundary Beekeeping Battles. This is kiwimana 107.
Welcome to the kiwimana Bay. Hi, this week we are talking about proposed Manuka rules and a new mite threat to look out for, as if we haven't got enough to look out for. Anyway, this is episode 107 of our beekeeping podcast.
Yes, and this week we'd like to thank Mead Drinker Tyson.
Have you been drinking some mead?
I have. Sorry, Tyson. Mead Drinker Tyson, and Tyson has been supporting the kiwimana buzz for over 6 months. Thanks for all your support, and if you value what we do, please consider supporting us too. It's kiwi.bz/banana.
Excellent. And so thanks for your support, Tyson. And yes, if you do value what we bring to you, you may also like to make a one-off donation. If you really appreciate our efforts, it's easy to do on our website.
And thanks this month to Aaron, one of our regular supporters who's made a donation. So thanks a lot, Aaron.
Yes, he makes regular donations to us, so we appreciate that very much, Aaron. So I hope all is well.
Yes, indeed, in windy Wellington. And welcome to the Kiwimana Buzz. I'm Gary.
And I'm Margaret, and we are beekeepers from the hills of the Waitakere Ranges in the wild west coast of Auckland, New Zealand.
And our podcast is about beekeeping, gardening and political issues sometimes, and also environmental issues. And Margaret's known to go off on tangents.
Oh, speak for yourself. Anyway, it's autumn here in New Zealand, guys, and we recorded this in April 2017. And you wouldn't believe it, but we have just had 3 days without rain. Hallelujah.
Amen. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
And the show notes for this show can be found at kiwi.bz or BZ.
BZ or BZ for the Kiwis.
107.
Yay. And what is this shout out to this time, Gary?
We're shouting out to our listeners in South Carolina this month.
Hi, guys.
And did you know, Margaret, it's illegal to fish with a yo-yo or dynamite in the fine state of South Carolina?
Yo, what's this they're talking about?
I can understand the dynamite, but I was thinking the yo-yo. Is that like the kid's toy?
Yo, you better explain yourself.
So I investigated this. I got hold of Dale Maines from Fishing Fun on Twitter. He told me it's an automatic spring-loaded reel, which is great for docks, boats, or bank lines, because the hook is set without you being there, and I think it automatically retracts when you catch a fish. But those are banned in South Carolina, so don't use those.
Okay, that's something to take note of, guys.
And we've also got a YouTube video on there about how to do yo-yo fishing, but not in South Carolina.
Oh, you'll all be having some fun out there.
So thanks for listening to the show, guys. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy lives to join us today. We really appreciate you coming, don't we, Margaret?
Yeah, we sure do, and thanks, guys. And, moving on. What's happening at Kiwimana, Gary?
Well, last month, I should say. It felt like last week. I asked if everyone wants to follow me on Fitbit, and this is what I got. Crickets. Crickets, I tell ya.
I think that's self-explanatory. We all love you, Gary. We all love you.
Well,
and
we had one person called Joyce followed me, but I said, I said to come here from the podcast, and she goes, I don't know what a podcast is.
So that's interesting, but at least you've got some Fitbit friends that family.
I've got a few.
Yeah, family and everything, and everyone's doing different stuff, so I'm sure those friends will shift.
And the problem is my sister, I gave her a Fitbit last week, and she's already done like 45,000 steps.
Sister-in-law, isn't it?
Sister-in-law.
Yeah.
Sister-in-law. Anyway, and last week we were interviewed on the Hive Talkin' podcast, weren't we? That was good. We had to get up at 3 a.m. It was good fun talking to Tony. He's also the guy that makes the Bee Hooligans podcast.
Yeah. Which we are joining, by the way. And, girls out there, just feel sorry for me because this is a bunch of hooligans and they're all hooligan males.
I know. Well, we have some friends here. We should be all right.
Yeah, we're all friends here, aren't we?
We can all talk about bees and hooligans. We know a few hooligans, don't we?
Indeed.
And our sugar shake video that we talked about in the last show is out now on YouTube. So the link there's in the show notes.
Excelente. So, how's the quarantine apiary going, Gary?
It's not going good.
What's happened?
Well, that hive that was occupied by a late swarm, they've just got weaker and weaker, and I've been treating them, and they got robbed out by a whole lot of other bees, I suspect. And so, because I put a whole lot of honey with them, as we talked about last time.
Yeah.
But, I don't think they're going to make it through winter, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, I think that timing is everything, and at the moment there is a lot of that sort of stuff going on.
Yeah, it sucks. So that's sad, but we press on. So what's happening with you, Margaret? Have you got some sad news as well?
Yeah, unfortunately our top bar hive failed, and I did feed her. Her brood wasn't huge, but they were pretty feisty, and they had a small population, which in some instances does get through winter, but they just didn't have much nectar in there, and even after the feeding they didn't really build up. And then suddenly I noticed they just started declining, and I've checked the cells, and yeah. But anyway, there's not a lot I can do. They are gone, and I have to move on.
Yes, that's sad, isn't it?
And more sad news is that the hive, which took so long to raise a queen, which was absolutely awesome that they did it, decided to swarm. And despite my efforts after capturing her 3 times at queen, no less than 3 times, and giving them a yummy honey frame and put them in a new smaller hive, because they weren't huge, but they were pretty good size too, sort of like a nucleus colony, I suppose. And they swarmed again, and I never saw them again when we were out. They were gone.
Yeah, we couldn't watch them because it was funny. The first time they swarmed, there was a customer, Glenn, was over.
Yeah.
The hive, and we were sitting on the deck drinking cups of tea, and all of a sudden the skies were full of bees.
Indeed it was, and anyway, they decided they were leaving, and there was nothing I could do. The plans of mice is men, we just can't control everything, and I believe from what I've experienced is the main failure was because they didn't have enough food. There wasn't hardly any nectar, and it's been pretty bad basically this season, and my cell inspections did not reveal any visual signs of disease. So 2 losses, and I've got 2 left.
Cool.
That's at Kiwimana HQ. But let's talk
banana.
Yeah, Banana One at the Education Apiary is doing really well with lots of honey and nectar and a good-sized population. And then there's Banana 2. She is going crazy. Yeah, you thought I was going to say bananas.
But we fooled you.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, on the other hand, the Education Apiary is only about 5 kilometres away. But what a difference that makes. Banana 2 has great brood pattern and lots of honey and nectar, and they're looking really good. That's a really huge population, really solid frame of brood in there, so I'm very excited about that. And we're getting a visitor to that apiary, and I'll fill you in on the next newsletter.
Yes, an exotic visitor.
Exotic. We'll talk about that next time.
And we've organised some courses, and you've been working on that, haven't you? And they're filling up fast.
Yeah, I'm very pleased and looking forward to that. We got the venue all sorted out, so that's all done. And that's awesome. And that's starting next week. So apiary's getting a good mow, and then I broke the lawnmower. So
yes, we must get that fixed.
Absolutely. It's just happens at the time when you most need it to be working. So I broke the handle, and she's a mass bought beauty. So I'm going to have to get her repaired ASAP.
Yes, indeed. We'll take that to QMU and get it fixed.
Indeed, and the wasps are blimmin' breeding at the moment. There's heaps around. I saw the girls in our 7 frame colony surrounding a wasp that snuck in behind the robbing screen, and boy did they hammer it. And I was proud of them, I must say. And, they stopped it from getting out and were just surrounding it. And you could see that it died as the beast it was trapped and cornered. And I couldn't help but feel such joy.
Yes, indeed. They're a pain in the
Yes, indeed they
Yes,
are.
they are. And we've
In
been doing
the
we've been doing some tests, haven't we? And we tested dog food and jam, and we discovered bees love jam.
Bees love jam, guys.
But wasps don't like dog food at the moment.
There was only one that really went on there, but nothing conclusive about what they're doing. But I see them attacking a bee coming in and trying to get away with her.
Yeah,
So,
we must try a fish-based one.
Okay.
Yeah, I've heard that's really good.
Mm.
Anyway, what's this comment about the bee season? It's been a tough season, isn't it?
Yeah, I've struggled, and losing 2 more colonies is really heartbreaking for me. And the last 3 bee seasons have really been the toughest for me personally. And I was thinking, and we talked about it today out on the deck, that the 4 years before all that, we just had a wonderful time. We split our colonies in spring, and the queens were raised and mated well, and the colonies just started building up, and good honey production, and life felt sweet. I tell you, I miss those days.
Yeah, well, we talked on the deck, we're probably going to start use the hive tracks more thoroughly, so we can actually see what we did and what worked and what didn't work, so we can use that more.
Yeah, I think maybe I, because I was looking to make sure they were doing all right, I looked at them, so maybe the temperature chilled the brood or something, I don't know. But, you know, the nectar flow here is really sparse as well, so it could have been, I could have contributed to it because I'm being a bit neurotic, but you know, our area has seen a huge increase in beehives in our neighbourhood, and my thoughts turn to the fact that I believe our area is overpopulated. And one of the news stories talks of war between landowners, and guess whose name pops up there, Gary?
Yes, we'll find out shortly.
Awesome.
Similar trend. Blog recap, where we recap the blogs. But we had 4 last month, so this is going to be top 4 blog posts.
Wow, that's awesome.
Number 1, Battling for Honey Gold. This was our last podcast. So thanks to everyone in the world that downloaded it. Still no one in Greenland, but anyway, we wait.
Was that wasn't our last one?
Our last one that you and me did.
Oh, I see. You need to clarify that for the audience, Gary, I think.
Clarification needed.
Clarification confirmed.
And number 2 was one written by a great blogger, Margaret. It was called What Are the 3 Basics to Start Beekeeping? Part 1, Essential Beekeeping Equipment.
It's 7 pieces of essential beekeeping equipment.
Yes, indeed, and that's been very popular. It's had almost 1,000 reads, Dale, so congratulations.
Thank you guys, and loved all the questions, and you can actually see the comments that have been added on that article, and a great start, I think.
Yes, and number 3, it's why should you keep beekeeping records, when we interviewed James Wilkes from Hive Tracks. Yeah,
this is what you were saying before, that it's a great tool and easy to use, because even I could use it after you installed it on my phone. I'm starting to do some, my education apiary is going to be done on that one, so I'm really thrilled with it.
Cool.
And I love it that it's got all these pictures, because I'm quite visual, so I like to see.
There you go, guys. If Margaret can do it, anyone can do it.
Cheers, Gary.
And don't forget, we're giving away a 12-month subscription to Hive Tracks, and that contest runs out on the 10th of May.
Definite plus here, guys. If you can get in to win, you've got to be in to win, and if you win, you got 12 months.
Free.
Awesome.
And the 4th one, which is kind of not it is kind of bee related. It's about cheap recipes to use your herb garden up. This is written by a guest blog post called Paul, and this is about all these yummy recipes to use your herbs from your garden. That's awesome.
Fantastic. Yeah, because not only do the bees love them, we love them too.
Yeah, some of those photos look awesome, eh? They make you feel hungry.
I do. I want to get pizza tonight.
Okay. That's not one of the recipes.
Oh, no. Okay.
No, we can get pizza. Anyway.
Moving along.
Beekeeping news. you can use.
With views from all over from yous.
Yes. You keep changing my thing.
Oh,
It's all good.
it's all my poetic justice or poetic license or creative license.
Indeed. Anyway, the first story is from Waipu. Waipu, why not? Anyway, that's a New Zealand joke. Sorry, everyone. New processing plant for backyard apiarists. A new extraction plant has been set up in Waipu for hobby beekeepers. This is great news. And quoting from the article...
5 Waipu beekeepers keen to pool resources.
Pool resources.
To pool resources and knowledge for the benefit of themselves and small-time hobby apiarists have banded together to build a honey extraction plant.
Yes, that's awesome. And that's from an article by Annette Lambie from Stuff. So that's great for the people in Waipu, eh?
Yeah, it's something that can be used by the whole community. So that's awesome.
Great news. And we had some feedback from Alana Claire Will Smith. And what did she say?
It's Alana Claire Wiles Smith.
And she said, interesting idea.
Indeed, and this is a story from New Zealand, if you're wondering what Waipu is. It's a little town, a beautiful place too. They got Waipu Cove. So if you're having a Google, guys, have a look at Waipu Cove.
Yes, absolutely. And the next story is Northland on trial, accused of stealing beehives. Another New Zealand story about a thieving mongrel.
Okay, so this Northlander was able to use an apiarist. I don't know if he was able to, but he did use an apiarist's name to commercially extract just under 2,000 kilos of honey from beehives. So this is from the Northern Advocate, which is
a northern newspaper.
Northern newspaper.
And he also stole a container load of beekeeping equipment, apparently.
Oh my God. I mean, this is just more mongrels, actually.
And we've had some feedback on this. He's pleaded guilty.
Oh, great news. Well, that's good. And what did Barry Oliver have to say?
Barry Oliver from Australia said, glad he was caught.
Yes. Here.
I agree.
Donna Marie Cox says...
Stink buzz.
Stink buzz. And Steve Henry said, got stung, the bum.
Our listeners are the best poets.
Absolutely, that's for sure. And Vanessa Rotahiko said, good job stealing someone else's hard work.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so true, man. And I just think good stuff.
And Gil Ashmead McCoy says,
filthy scum. I hope he gets locked away for years.
Yes, indeed. And he will be he's remanded on bail at the moment. And he will be sentenced on July the 12th.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I hope they throw the book at him or the whole beehive.
Yes, indeed. Well, he might steal it if he throw a beehive at him.
Ah, no. He's in shackles.
Anyway, that's good to know he got caught.
There's another article here. It's called New Manuka Honey Rules. Have you heard this piece of gossip around the apiary and the honey packing sheds or yards? Isn't oomph enough? And, oh my God, OMG,
do you mean
nothing...
UMF, not oomph?
Oomph.
I know.
Oh my God, OMG, MGO, nothing ordinary about this story, guys.
Yes, indeed. Karen from the Business of Bees blog. Hey, and she sent us an Easter egg. So we love Karen.
Nice. It was yummy.
It was nice.
I ate the egg.
Well, you ate the
Gary
egg.
ate the chocolates, by the way.
Oh, I only had 3.
Yum, yum. Oh, yeah, okay.
I'm trying to do my fitness regime. Anyway,
yes, dear.
She, from the Business of Bees blog, talks about the proposed rules regarding exported Manuka honey. Will this stop the honey fraud that is damaging the Manuka honey brand? MPI have releasing a discussion paper which talks about some of the proposed tests.
Yeah, MPI is rejigging the definition of Manuka honey. Word on the street is that there will be a discussion document released in April, which has been released, and the final document will become law in June or July 2017. Well, that's a bit funny. If it's a discussion document, where do you go to discuss it? Read on.
Update.
So what
this
does
was released? The discussion document was released on the 11th of April. You can read more at the MPI site. There's a link on the show notes.
Hey, so what does this mean to the ordinary beekeeper, she says?
The ordinary hobby beekeeper?
She says, oh, okay, I know none of you are ordinary. Ain't that the truth?
That's very true.
Sorry,
very true.
distracted tangent. Let's get back to when the discussion paper was released, Gary.
April 11th. And you can read more about this. It's only really affecting commercial people because it's only when you export honey.
I see.
And it won't affect internal stuff to New Zealanders.
Okay, so you'll need a bit of oomph and foof, and, oh my God, before you pass the test?
Exactly. There's a new test. This is the proposal. It has 5 attributes, 4 chemical markers and a DNA marker. And if you don't pass those tests, you cannot label your honey Manuka honey.
Well, I guess that's true, but in the article she says that they haven't really covered the idea of fake, how they're going to deal with the fake side of things. So did you find anything about that in there?
Well, I'm guessing that if it passes the test as Manuka honey, because these chemicals are only in Manuka honey, that will get rid of a lot of fake ones. And I've actually heard from a commercial beekeeper who had a site that had Manuka honey, and he's always had Manuka honey, and it's failed this test. So he can't legally call it Manuka honey anymore.
Wow, that's really interesting. So I guess you're right that if they pass that particular test, but how are they going to manage it outside? Because that's where all the issues are happening, isn't it? They're saying that the honey's going somewhere, and yes, it might test as the right thing, but when it gets to the destination, what are they doing with it then, and how do we protect ourselves after that time?
Well, the testing is a simple test, and it can be done overseas as well. So, like big companies, like overseas, like big supermarket chains, may test the honey as well.
Oh, okay. Well, that's something. So, yeah, guys, this is a great article, and it talks about when the submissions close.
Yes, the submission closes on the 23rd of May 2017.
So get writing, guys.
And there's going to be some public meetings, but surprisingly there's none in Auckland.
Oh,
Now, obviously you don't think any beekeepers live here.
oh
But
yeah.
the closest one to Auckland is Hamilton at the Claudeland Centre. So have a look on the show notes if you're a commercial beekeeper. And Hills Laboratories can do this test for you. At this stage, they're the only people that can do this test.
Okay.
Cool.
Cool.
And if this gets approved. So it's interesting. Thanks, Karen, for that article. It's great.
Excellent. And speaking of Manuka honey, we were really fortunate enough to meet Peter, who was the scientist who discovered the Manuka factor. We met him when Cliff Van Eaton released his book about Manuka honey. A great read, by the way, guys, and has a bit of New Zealand beekeeping history in there. And we do have this in our online shop, and we also have an interview with both Cliff and Peter in episodes 59 and 67 of our podcast. So worth having a listen, guys, if you're keen.
Yes, exactly. That's Peter Molan, the discoverer of Manuka honey, or the healing properties.
That's it. So very
And next
exciting,
one.
isn't it?
Oh,
We're
it's
so
awesome.
excited.
It's good. It's good.
Yes, and we get so excited that war breaks out between landowners.
Oh, it's terrible. Next
Jeez.
story.
This is another story from NZ, and it's from TV1 Fair Go program, which talks of claims of boundary stacking at this time from Wanganui. When will this craziness end, guys? This news story appeared it's a consumer type show called Fair Go. So New Zealand, we want everyone to have a fair go. Is that the case in this article?
Yes, and the quote from the article is, a pollen war has erupted between two landowners in the lower North Island, exposing an industry-wide problem as demand for Manuka honey soars. And you've also added another one here.
Yes, under the hive per hectare ratio, the man in the article mentioned called Russell would have just 20 hives. Instead, he has more than 200. Russell says this is because he's not just targeting Manuka, but all honey nectar, including thistle and clover. And that's interesting because the name that we said that popped up in this article was...
The hives belong to Comvita.
Yeah, so are you going to play the audio, Gary?
Yes, indeed.
So we can have a listen to what was presented.
Night with Honey Wars.
Yeah, for those in the business of making honey and money, of course, Manuka is a source of liquid gold.
But its healing powers have done little for neighbourly relations in Wanganui. Here's Anna. Buried deep in the hilly scrubland on the outskirts of Wanganui is a boundary dispute that's got two neighbours locked in a pollen war.
Their bees are freeloading off our resource.
He's nicking your Manuka flower.
Well, yeah, if you put it like that, yeah. I actually said that to him, but they didn't like that too.
They, being the neighbours, the Johnsons, deny the nicking allegations.
The boundary, one on this side, on this side. What do you do?
Yes, what do you do indeed?
Yeah, well, on one side is your boundary and on the other side is their boundary. So what they do over there, in my view, is up to them. And what the other guy does on his side, that's up to him. There's not a lot you can do, man.
Yeah, I'm getting sick of these wars going on, so I just want to say something. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely nothing.
That's right, Bruce. Bruce knows.
Bruce knows, and he was born
in the USA. Anyway, yes, Comvita involved again. How do you prevent bees crossing borders? Well, you can't. But I think that you could be responsible and not have as many hives across your neighbour's boundary.
And I think in the long run, that is something that, you know, we'd all like to have happen, and that the bees will be a lot healthier for it, and they'll get better honey production if they reduce the amount of hives they have, because they'll just get a better flow on, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you know, maybe it's time that there was some law change that limit colony numbers in certain areas. What do you think? Discussion, yeah, I think that's true. And why can't people just get along? Apparently there's been some changes since that article went out. But, yeah, have a look at that, guys, and the full video is available on that article. Yeah, and... yeah. Absolutely. Now we're moving on to physics, not my favourite subject. This one's about mould in a beehive. There's another great post from Rusty from Honey Bee Suite, and what does she say?
The way they spell mould over in America is just not the Queen's English,
They
is
can't
it?
spell in America. Everyone knows that.
Oh, okay.
Sorry to American listeners.
Yeah, I think apologies
You're
out
missing-
there. We're
you're
just
missing
looking at the different ways that the English language is used. And anyway,
The thing is, it's so busy in America, they can't add the extra letters.
indeed, a hive can be the perfect place for mould to grow in dead hives. She discusses ways to help prevent it, and she quotes, we quote from her article, mould in a beehive is a result of colony death, not the cause of it. Mould spores are everywhere in the environment, and they're just waiting for the perfect conditions to germinate into hairy tufts. It sounds a bit like the AFB situation, eh?
No. Why?
Well, AFB waits, and then when the right conditions appear,
Oh, okay. Well, if you have
it's a spore.
Yeah, but it doesn't. AFB doesn't. Yeah, true. Well, no, AFB is a virus, isn't it?
It's a spore. Jeez Louise, there's two types. Anyway,
I'm losing it.
okay, well, she's saying that mould isn't the killer, and it's rather a result that the bees couldn't cope and failed. Like, damp is preventable, and that's what she talks about, that, you know, damp is not healthy for the hives. And I think we talked about that on the deck today as well, that it can be a culmination of factors, like more than one factor for a colony to fail. But certainly a damp hive is not helpful.
It is helpful to your varroa population, but
Oh, yes,
a damp hive is great for varroa mites.
But the bees, their house should be warm and dry and with some air to ventilate. And we spell it MOULD, by the way.
It's all right. Rusty spelt it right for her country, so it's all good. Don't hassle Rusty.
I'm not hassling anybody. It's a point of fact.
Yes, because we're probably more we follow more of the English spelling, whereas America
So
have gone their own
true.
way.
Yes, we have the Queen's English, as it were.
Yes, because after the War of Independence against from between America and England, they decided to remove a lot of letters from words.
Go on, you say I go off in tangent. Okay, so physics for beekeepers.
Yes, indeed. Physics for Beekeepers. Check that article out. It's actually quite good. And Lisa Arnold, she agrees. What did she say?
Lisa says, great read and thanks for sharing. No worries, Lisa.
No worries. And thanks to Rusty for writing it.
Yeah, and thanks for your feedback, Lisa.
And this next story's got a complicated name that Margaret's learnt. It's called Honeybee Parasite Mite Genome is Sequenced in an Aid to Fight Against Bee Colony Destruction is a new mite. And what's it called?
Tropalaelaps mercedes.
Wow, okay. That's a new mite.
It's like a Mercedes form of the Varroa destructor mite, but not.
No, it's a new mite that's in Asia, and it's actually spread to the European honeybees in Asia.
Yeah,
Let's hope it doesn't spread around the world.
Yeah, they are native to Asia, and they spread and jumped onto from the host, which was the giant honeybee, Apis dorsata, and to the European honeybee, Apis mellifera, which is a much smaller bee.
Yes, these mites look pretty terrible, don't they? And quoting from the article we've got, published today in Open Access Journal, Giga Science, it's a cool name, is an article that presents the genome of a parasite mite that infects bee colonies, which are facing widespread devastation across the world. And to note, there's a really great PDF file here from the National Bee Unit in England. So I'd recommend you have a look at that, guys, because it's a PDF file with great photos of this new mite. So you want to check out that you don't ever find it, hopefully.
Yes, Tropalaelaps.
Yes, let's pray we never get it.
Yeah, we just stick with the Varroa destructor.
Yeah, we've got enough mites to deal with. Thanks.
Indeed.
Thanks very much. No comments on that one?
No, not this time, but an article worth reading if you can get the words in your head right, because, sometimes this stuff is a bit above my pay level.
Yes, indeed. Let's hope this mite does not get anywhere.
Yeah, I reckon.
Questions from you? No questions. You have any questions?
Well, I had some, but they were just about failing colonies, basically, at the moment. That's all the calls I'm getting is how do they deal with a failing colony, and unfortunately, once a colony starts to decline, my feeling is that at the moment, because they haven't got a lot of resources, and if you haven't saved honey from the previous year, I think your colony's going to fail. That's the question that I've been getting.
We've heard some people took off all the honey, and they've discovered they've got no honey.
That's right. We were told that a colony was being looked at, and they're wondering why it's sort of like population's declining, and then only to find that they had no honey stores. So work it out, guys.
That's right.
Jeez.
Let's work out what everyone should know what honey's for. It's for winter.
It's for the bees. Bees first, guys.
Exactly. That sounds random reviews. A small thank you to our customers who we asked for a product review, and we random select one person every month, and then you get a $30 gift voucher certificate.
Yeah, so they go into a draw for a $30 kiwimana gift certificate.
Oh yes, that's right.
A prize you can use, guys.
And if it doesn't get claimed, we go out for a cake.
Yes, and we had cake last time.
Because the person didn't claim it. And
that's right.
Really surprised us.
That's right, and I'm surprised.
Are we not naming names?
No names being named at this stage. But anyway, to be a winner, guys, you have to get in touch with us within 2 weeks, have bought a product and made a review. And then Gary gives the podcast release date so you can claim your prize before that close off.
Yes, indeed. And if you don't get in touch, as we said,
We're gonna eat cake.
Okay, let's get into random review. Get the old computer to pick a number.
The winning number is
1, 4.
14.
Yay!
Who's number 14?
I don't know, Gary. Check out which customer that was.
Let's look up. Right, number 14 was for a sugar shake jar. Oh, yeah, and that video's coming out. It is out. And this was a guy called, is it Carrie? Could be a guy, could be a girl, couldn't it?
Could be.
And he says, very happy with the bee shaker. It's a simple design, works well, and is easy to clean. Yes, indeed. Oh, that's cool.
That's excellent.
Because I clean mine in the dishwasher.
Yeah, because it's stainless steel, it lasts very well.
Stainless steel and glass, eh?
That's it, guys. Easy to clean.
Congratulations, Carrie. Get in touch within 2 weeks of this release date and you get a $30 gift voucher. Yes, indeed. Feedback from you guys. We got an email.
Yes, 2 hives better than 1 comment.
Yes, indeed. We heard from Tim. This is a comment from the last show about 2 hives are better than 1. And we heard from Tim from San Antonio. And he says, he apologises for not telling us where he lives. That's okay. And he's got a top bar hive and a long Langstroth horizontal hive. Yeah, they're awesome. And he lives near Texas. And the flow starts there as early as February. And it sure did like this year. Lots of plants and trees are starting to bloom now in February. And the girls are bringing in pollen like crazy. We really only have 3 months a year of colony dormancy. It's mid-November to mid-February, and many days it's still warm enough for them to get out and cleanse. He says, love your show. Thanks a lot, Tim. That's awesome.
Awesome, and all the best with your colonies and your honey flow. Excellente.
And their season sounds similar to ours, because we only have like about 3 months of non-beekeeping, don't we?
Yeah, but we still get new brood over winter. So we don't really have a complete dormancy. We do have lower population growth at this time of the year when the temperatures drop. The bees don't lay as much brood. But then it also depends on your individual microclimate or your local area as well.
Exactly.
So thanks, Tim, and we love to hear from you, and that's awesome.
Now we move on to the Twitters. This is Twitter followers. If you want to follow us, it's kiwimana buzz. And we got a message from Irish fan from Pennsylvania. Gary and Margaret he starts off with. That's you and me. I'm from the United States and live in northeastern Pennsylvania.
I enjoy listening to your podcast, and I'm entering my 2nd year as a beekeeper. I've always wanted to give beekeeping a try, but never had the time. I am a teacher and teach 4th grade and up. Until last summer, I coached high school football. Cool. When I decided to retire, I picked up beekeeping to take up the time football once claimed. I must say I have been bitten by the beekeeping bug, and I love it.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you don't want to combine American football and beekeeping. It could be
no,
dangerous.
You could drop the ball, and then you could get stung. So thanks, Irish fan from Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, yes, that's awesome. And I told him about our love for rugby, and he knows what it is. He says it's a tough game.
Yeah, it's 40 minutes hard slog, and then you go and have a cup of tea, and then you go out there for another 40 minutes. It's like hitting a brick wall half the time.
Oh, yeah, I don't know how they do it, eh?
Hey, I just want to make a point of note to our beginners.
Yeah.
And if you're coming into your 3rd year of beekeeping, here are some things that you need to consider. If you're coming into your spring and you have got very dark comb, one of the things that you would need to look at is whether they need to be replaced because of all the varroa issues and that kind of thing that most of us are experiencing, except for you Aussie guys. You guys are so lucky. But anyway, in your 3rd year, they say that looking at your brood frames that are very, very dark, that perhaps getting them to draw more comb over spring and summer, that you will get rid of the risk of viruses within those cells. So that's just my piece of advice at this time if you've been beekeeping for 3 years.
Awesome. Good advice here from Margaret. And if you can do one thing this month, if you can consider supporting us on Patreon, we would love it, wouldn't we?
We would love it. And if you take up hive tracks, then that's another thing that you can support us with. And, of course, one-off donations. So go, guys.
And thanks for joining us. And if you want to look at our Patreon page, it's kiwi.bz/banana. And we release that. Do you know what we do? We release the podcast early for our Patreon people.
That's right, we do. Just a little bonus for our Patreons.
And they love that. They get them a bit earlier so they can tell their friends that they've listened already.
All right, guys. Well, watch the space. Margaret gets the lawnmower repaired and the classes are on their way and Gary's off to be fit.
Exactly. Yes, if you want to follow me on Fitbit, it's gary@kiwimana.co.nz and send me a comment and say, I heard it on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Talk to you next month.
See ya.
The winning number is
1.
Numero.
4.
Oh.
You can't disturb the computer. Now let's do that again.